Welcome to another video from East Beds Bushcraft, the home of #survival.
I've decided to come out for walks, but light walks, so literally nothing more than a good trusty old walking stick, bottle of water in my pocket, I've got my windbreaker on, and let's just walk, just rack up the kilometres, the miles, and see what I see. I can hear a donkey somewhere in the vast background. I can hear a donkey doing its stuff. So really it's just a nature walk, just to see what we find on our travels. I have noticed on this particular route, I haven't been on this particular route for a good long time. I used to take my dogs on this route, but obviously with the pandemic, the ground is really chewed up. There's obviously a lot more people using this particular route than they used to, but saying that, I've still come across, because obviously the soft mud, I've still come across quite a few deer prints, so there's plenty of deer around, small deer, you know, muntjac probably, yeah, so it's really just a case of doing more walks through 2021 with different packs. As I say, really light today, literally just me, stick, water, phone. And then I intend to use a sling bag, which is particularly nice, take a flask in, things like that, and just go on lots of walks around the local area, because we're still stuck in these restrictions that we can't travel from place to place. So at least we'll be able to see how the seasons develop. Obviously we're still in winter, although for me, where we are in Bedfordshire, we've not seen any snow, not really had any hard frosts. Yeah, we've had a couple of frosts, people will say we've had frosts. I've not really had any hard frosts. So winter is exceptionally mild, and I'm already noticing that back at my own property, bluebells are starting to come up down in the orchard. So things are already starting to show signs of spring. So I've just stopped up down here by the river, and you know, and as I've been coming along the riverbank, I've been observing there's still a few hawthorn berries about, birds haven't had, and a few rose hips as well. And as I say, this track, unfortunately, again, I've walked on this when I used to come and bring my dogs out years ago. A human traffic, yeah, we always used to meet dog walkers, but certainly it would seem that footfall has gone up when it comes to humans, and unfortunately also it would seem there's plenty of evidence of off-road motorcycles as well, which is a bit of a shame. You know, they have their place. I'm a motorcyclist myself, but I don't like them chewing up the footpaths, etc. But I was saying earlier about the deer, well, I don't know if we can get this on video, but down here, if you can see that, because I'm pushing my camera around the opposite way, in amongst the tyre tracks there's also a deer print, as I say, probably muntjac more than anything for the size of it around here. But you know, so there's evidence of life, of animal life around. So here I am down on the riverbank. I've walked a little bit further along, and as I've been meandering, I like to just amble my way along, and there are still lots of hawthorn berries around. Not that many, some are shriveled up, but there are hawthorn berries. Also a few rose hips still. It's not impossible to make a rose hip tea if you wanted. And of course, there's all those people into woodlaw, bushcraft know identification is one of the high top end skills you need. I mean, everybody goes for the let's do friction fire lighting and everything, which is fine. It's everything and anything when it comes to bushcraft, but also smell. And where I'm standing, the reason that I stopped here is that there is a very strong and pungent smell of foxes. If you've never smelt foxes before, you really, once you get to know what the smell is, you can't miss it. So I just thought, for a change, I'd just mention the fact that there are a few animal trails here. It's probably just a bit further behind me where the water's a bit shallower. It's probably a place where foxes cross over the river. You can see the trails, the animal trails through the hedgerows, and smell is something that people forget. Identification using your eyes is one thing, but use your nose as well, and you'll start to pick up and understand the smell of the countryside, the smell of a deer, the smell of a fox, the smell of badgers. Yeah, and so what stopped me today right here is this very strong smell of fox. Very strong smell of fox. Something to get used to, something to add to your identification list of skills. So I've stopped again at the riverbank. Look at this beautiful old willow. All gnarly. Pieces have been taken off, like coppicing. You can see where the new growth is. But I was talking to somebody on Facebook over the past 24 hours, somebody who was trying friction fire lighting for the first time, and really willow is one of my favourites. I don't think that really anywhere around where I reside in the UK you're very far from willow, and find some dead standing willow and it's absolutely perfect for your spindle and hearthboard on your fire drill. What I also want to bring your attention to, I don't know if I can see it on the video, just here. I'll see if I can zoom in. Just there. Perfect. And oh, actually higher up as well. Just up there. I don't know if you can see it. Get my finger in. Ooh. Where's my finger? There. Just up there. There. They're woodpecker holes. Woodpeckers have been living or are living in this particular willow tree. That's a good one just there. Let's zoom out. So signs of woodpeckers, which is always a good thing. And oh, looks just come down the river. Got myself a friendly swan that's just decided to come down. You see, if you just stop and take a moment, you'll be amazed at what's around you. Absolutely beautiful. Stopped again, and here is something that I absolutely love to use. The old cat's tail or bulrushes. You just strip out. I don't know if you can see in the back. Oh, here's some here right next to me. See how they're starting to fluff out. But if you take the heads off them, absolutely perfect fire lighting tinder. Fluff it out, it'll take a spark and ignite. No problems at all. Beautiful bit of usage there for your bushcraft and woodlaw. And of course, down in the roots, as you know, you can pull the roots out, basically cook them over, well, on the fire, on the coals or in the coals of your fire, and they're very starchy. You split the roots open and you can get all that wonderful sort of potatoey starch out of the roots as well. So very, very useful thing when it comes to bushcraft and survival. Again, further down the river, not really being able to see any fish today, mainly because if you can see my shadow, the sun's behind me, which is sending my shadow across the river, spooking anything that's about. But I can tell you, you get plenty of brook trout in there. I've seen the odd pike as well. The reason I've stopped is, if you just look across, can you see this big amount of soil that's come down here? But there are holes. Big hole in the top there. There is, again, I'm trying to get it on the camera. There's one in here. Over here, you'll see above my shadow, there's one there. And all the way through behind the hawthorn on the other bank, that is one huge badger set. So here we have a very, very large, well-established badger set. Let's just take a little wander down a little bit. There we go. Mole hills as well, so there's moles around. Gosh, yeah, so you can see well, it's a bit difficult on this phone camera, but there are a lot of trails running across the opposite bank for the badgers. So that's a very well established badger set there. That's beautiful. I do like badgers. Badgers once in a while pay us a visit to the orchard, which is lovely. Who knows, maybe they're Maybe they're coming from this set. I mean, this particular set is quite away from us. Oh, just down there, just next to my shadow. Just going to push my stick into the ground. There we go. A little robin. There he is. Just about to see that. Little friendly robin right next to my shadow. I love robins. They're one bird that, although completely wild, they will approach you if you're quiet, sitting on the riverbank, sitting in your garden, especially if you have, say, some mealworms to hand. They'll even take it out of your hand. For a wild bird, they are very, very amenable when it comes to humans. You know, they will come close to you if you're quiet and relaxed. Anyway, time to move on. So, again, I'm stopping off. What have we this time now? We have yet another big old willow. And the wind at some point has snapped this huge bough down, hitting the bank, the piece over there. A lot of people would call this a widow maker because there's no telling. That's very precarious up there. If that snaps and comes down, I'm probably standing in just the right position to get smacked by it, which I'm hopefully not going to. But the reason I bring your attention to it is again back to the old bow drills. See, this is definitely dead standing willow. And the thing with dead standing willow is that you don't need to, if you're inexperienced, I mean, here I am, I don't want to tell anybody how to suck eggs, but if you're inexperienced doing bow drills, you don't need to be trying to scour this and looking at it and saying, okay, oh, well, maybe I can make a spindle out of that. Because the thing is, you can just take a chunk of this, just break it off, cut it off, saw it off, hack it off, whatever, and then split that down to make your hearthboard, and then literally batten it down into a square batten, shave the edges off. It's such a good wood to use, so you'll be able to turn a spindle just by using your bushcraft knife. You'll be able to make a spindle really nicely, as well as getting your hearthboards out of it, just out of a piece of it. It's not a case of looking around to try and find a piece suitable for a spindle. I know a lot of people use hazel, because hazel, like my walking stick, grows really nice and straight, so you can find straight hazel that's dead standing, and that's great, that's fine. But when it comes to using willow, don't worry about hunting around trying to find the perfect piece. There's a piece up here perhaps that you could possibly use as a spindle, but frankly, what I've always done in my 50 plus years is to just make a spindle out of the wood itself alongside the hearthboard. And of course, for the bearing block, you can use a piece of hazel. I tend to not use the same wood. I don't tend to use willow for the bearing block as well, because I want to keep the friction down. So I've even used bone, the jaw bone from sheep, things like that. If you can find a piece of bone, a leg bone, make a little drill or just fashion a notch in it that will take the tip of your spindle, and you're going to keep that bearing block with you as long as you need it. Wear out the spindle or wear out the hearthboard, keep replacing it, but bearing blocks are something that just keep on going. Anyway, moving on. Back, I've had a lovely walk, and you've come along with me, and thank you for joining me on this walk. If anything, just a simple little walk like this has proven there's still plenty of things that you can identify, even at this present time of year, which is winter. We've learnt some tips, hopefully, some basic tips, useful information. One thing I would say, here I am walking along with my modern smartphone in my hand. One thing I would always recommend you to have, even if you feel you don't need one, is get yourself a stick. Let's say this old stick, it's got a metal tip in the end. This one is one of many sticks I'm sure you can imagine that I own. This particular one has been up Ben Nevis probably about 4 times. But just walking along here talking to the camera, which is something we would never have done a few years ago. It's very muddy, slippy. Having that third point of contact, 2 feet and a stick, makes all the difference from you going arse over tit, excuse my French. But a stick comes in handy for all sorts of things, for reaching things. If you're off on the moors, testing the ground in front of you in case it's boggy, crossing a river, even, you know, carrying something on. Oh, I use it. Sticks, I always take a stick if I'm putting my lavoo up. If you're not sure what a lavoo is, you can do a quick search on the internet for Polish lavoos. It's a small 2-man army tent that splits in half. You can use it as a half lavoo, nice little day shelter, summer shelter, and they come with poles already packed with them. I don't use it. I always take a particular walking staff with me, which is the perfect length for the lavoo. A little bit longer than I need because most of the time the ground's soft, so I need to push it into the ground. That's fine, that helps for the stability on the tent pole. I know people troop out for a overnighter or whatever, camping in their lavoos, and they go and find some dead standing wood and use that as a pole. That's fine, but rather than bothering trying to find an appropriate piece of wood when I'm out and about, I always take a walking staff with me. So if I'm going with my lavoo, my walking staff, a little bit longer than this one, but a walking stick in for every walk, I find is a very useful thing indeed. And there you go. So we've seen quite a few things I haven't videoed. Seen some buzzards zooming around. Haven't seen any red kites today, although we do get them coming across this area quite a bit. I've seen rabbits. These fields, I know they have hares on the fields in the summertime, so spring and summer, so you know, yeah, we've had trouble with hare courses, but thankfully you haven't really seen much of that in recent years, which is good. So again, thank you for coming on my little walk today. You go out on your own walk, enjoy your time, enjoy identifying things. You don't have to go full blown, stick the pack on, camp out, do the whole bushcraft stuff. Sometimes it's just nice to go for a walk, and that means at any time during the 4 seasons, because you're going to learn so much, especially when it comes to identification, so much just by walking. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you again soon on East Beds Bushcraft and Survival. I'm Buzz, bye for now.
Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video and subscribe to the East Beds Bushcraft channel. See you all again soon.